Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. You can use the reaction button on Zoom to let me know if I'm audible.
Where is the reaction button?
All right. So first of all, I request you all to please mute yourselves so that we can start the event. Thank you. So hello, everyone. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for joining in our second pitch day for Road to Sustainability. And I welcome you all on behalf of the Nisarg team to today's event. So before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Daisy Bhuya, the lead of communication at Nisarg Foundation and the host for today's event. So before we start, we are as an organization. Nisarg Foundation is a non-profit organization build a community of like-minded people in India. And to do so, we have introduced our flagship program, Road to Sustainability, with which we are trying to bridge the financial gap, which will help people turn their climate solutions into reality. I'd like to introduce our founders and co-founder. Our founder is Mr. Chirag Kathrani. He's currently based in California in the US. Chirag sir, I request you to please unmute yourself and say a few words.
Hi everyone, this is Chirag. We started this foundation to make a purpose like everybody who can. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our main purpose of Nisarg Foundation is to build a community of businesses or even the non have a bigger impact. We'll be processing. Just to be impartial, we have judges across different domains, and they will be main decision maker. I would be just mainly as a host. I'll go ahead and have you guys can start your pitch. And Daisy, you can.
Running a little late, but he'll join in very soon. Our CEO and co-founder, Mr. Vikrant Srivastava, I'd request you to please unmute yourself as well and say a few words.
Hi, everyone. It's been a really great journey from our pitch 1 and from pitch 2 right now. And the main focus of our work is to strengthen the climate adaptation in India. And I'm pretty much sure that at present you all are already a hero. And with our support, it could be just a step forward with your work. So congratulations for being part of us today and wish you a very good luck.
Thank you. Go ahead, and before we start with our presentations, I'd like to introduce our judges. Judge Dr. Renuka Thakur. She is the founder of Global Sustainable Future. Ma'am, would you please unmute yourself and say a few words?
Hello, everyone. And I'm very pleased to be along with the journey of Nisarg Foundation. And for the second time also to be as a part of the judging panel. I'm
Daisy, can you mute the people who are talking? Because you're the host, you can mute.
So sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am. Please go ahead.
No problem. So I'm the founder of Global Sustainable Futures Progress Through Partnership Network, and I'm based in Reading, UK. We have 1,500 coordinators over 130 countries. So I'm pleased to be here as a part of this bigger community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Moving ahead is Mr. Bhaskar Natarajan. He has had more than 25 years of experience in the field of energy policy and sustainable development. I'd like to request sir to even unmute himself and say a few words so that our participants get to know our judges much better.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Extremely happy to be here. We had an interesting set of, and I'm looking forward to the presentations this week so that we can go ahead and decide who all will be support. But as all of you are aware, it's an extremely difficult task. Each proposal is unique in its own way, and we hope we are able to give the right sense of encouragement to each one of you. Thank you. Over to you, Daisy.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to introduce our another judge, who is Mr. Uma Maheshwaran Rajashekar. He is a senior advisor at National Institute of Urban Affairs. Sir, would it be possible for you to unmute yourself as well?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be part of this and looking forward to the presentations from the set of innovators and people who are working on the ground to make the change. Looking forward to it. Wishing all of you good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. Our next judge is Mr. Aritra Bhutan. He has had more than 8 years of experience in the field of sustainability consultancy. He has also keen knowledge in project management in projects involving SDG goals. So he'll be joining in soon too. And moving ahead, we have another judge named Dr. Vivek Gaurav. He is a project scientist at ICMR. All of our judges, we can move ahead with our presentations, I believe. So before we do that, I'd like to declare the format of the event and how we proceed. So each team would be given 25 minutes in total, out of which 15 minutes would be for presentation. During the presentation round, at every 10 minutes, we'll be ringing a bell just to give a heads up to the teams that if anyone has any question, please feel free to unmute yourself so that I can address the queries right away before we start. All right, so since there are no questions with our pitch day, I'd like to invite our first team. So the name of the business proposal is Waste to Fashion, a climate-friendly microfactory, and it was submitted by Kanika Ahuja and her team. So Kanika, if you're here, please let us know whenever you're ready. You can start sharing your screen and we'll start the timer accordingly.
Hi, Daisy. Thank you so much, everyone, for having us here today. Teammate Devanshi Bhatnagar are here today to present our pitch.
Sure, please give me some moment.
Yes.
Please try it now. Vikrant sir, could you please look into it once?
Yeah, one
also try.
Kanika, I have a laptop. You could share your screen, please. Yes, actually, I have turned on the.
Yes, it's working now.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Today I'm Kanika Ahuja and my teammate Devanshi Bhatnagar will be presenting our pitch to create waste to fashion climate-friendly microfactories. Conserve India and Lifafa are a social enterprise. We are a non-profit as well as a company who have been pioneering in creating upcycling technologies from waste for
Kanika, can we start?
Sorry?
The timing? Are you ready for presentation?
Yes, yes, please.
All right, please go ahead.
Yeah, Devanshi?
Yeah, thanks, Kanika.
I hope I'm
Yes.
okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So, have constantly worked in waste management for over 30 plus years now, with the idea that waste continues to remain a menace in the country, and the people working in the waste space are the ones at the bottom of the social pyramid. So, over the years, what we've done is that we've designed and patented technologies which help to create new materials from waste, mostly waste that ends up in the landfills in the form of single-use plastics, polythene bags, etc. And we've over the years designed a technology which helps to create this waste into new materials in the form of vegan leather, which is an excellent substitute for animal leather, which continues to remain one of the biggest polluting industries in the country, apart from causing. Over the last couple of years, we've been able to upcycle over 80,000 kilos of plastic waste landfills. We've trained over 1,200 urban poor and have helped them to kind of. We've also been able to increase the incomes of urban poor by 150%. Kanika, next slide, please. To talk about today are two of the biggest causes that continue to impact the landfills of the country. The first is the plastic bags. I mean, I don't think anybody here is unaware of the kind of impact plastic bags continue to have on the environment because of their non-biodegradable nature, and as well as the kind of menace they create in terms of their decomposition. As you can see, the number of plastic bags produced in 1 year rise exponentially over 1,000 years for a single plastic, by continuing to add to the landfill without any proper way of its decomposition or utility. The next slide, Kanika. So while plastic waste is something that is continuously getting attention, its recyclability in terms of putting it to better use, remain outside of the purview of the government is actually textile waste. We are currently in the fast fashion phase, available at the click of a button. And even though it's cheap on the pocket, it continues to be extremely hazardous for the environment. In fact, the textile industry is one of the largest source of waste in the landfills of India. The prime sources of textile waste in the country continue to be the industrial waste, that is the producer's waste, which happens at the stage at the production level. So the largest textile hubs in the country, like Panipat, like Tirupur, etc., can produce up to 45,000 liters of fabric waste on a daily basis. And have post-consumer waste because of lack of awareness and lack of recycling practices in the country, wherein a lot of consumer waste that is once consumed ends up in the landfills because of the low cost of these products, and thereby resulting in cheap quality and synthetic material. An interesting thing to also consider is the fact that we are one of the largest importers of textile waste from the West. So countries like US continue to dump their textile waste in countries like India, Vietnam, Bangladesh, etc. And in the absence of proper recycling facilities, in the absence of proper ways to combat this waste, we continue, which can eventually create major havoc, because a lot of these material, which is something similar to plastic waste and continues to be non-biodegradable. The next slide, please, Kanika. So the textile waste processing in India, if we look at it from the 5R relationship, we need to factor in the part that there is over 1 million tons of annual textile waste that is generated. And because of ineffective segregation, it continues to go to the landfills without proper disposal or recycling opportunities. So once ended in the landfill, a lot of this material, which can be synthetic in nature, is either not processed, or if processed, it does not produce durable material. The absence of major formalization of waste pickers in the country adds to this problem, since a lot of people do not have proper channels to this. Sorry. Should I continue?
Yes, please continue. Sorry for the disturbance.
No problem. Yeah. So even though India it continues to be a country where recycling, where reuse of material is something which is indigenous to the country, but because of the quantity of the waste that is generated, there is no proper knowledge of recycling and segregating of this waste. As a result, the involvement of the government and the policymakers continue waste to be hazardous, because they do not factor in the part that a lot of textile waste today is non-biodegradable because of the synthetic. As a result of this, we have over 73% of textiles ending in the landfill with zero to no recyclable quality. And it continues to be the third largest source of solid municipal waste. Of informalization of labor in the waste management sector, and more importantly, their exposure to harmful and toxic chemicals, which results in poor health and major issues over the years. More important to factor in that because there is a linear economy in the country for textiles at the moment, the shift towards circular fashion is extremely slow because of the availability of different circular strategies like recycling and remanufacturing. Next slide, please, Kanika. So, proposing here today is that we have been able to design a technology to create materials not just from plastic waste, which is MLP, but also the synthetic textile waste which ends up in the landfills. What we intend on doing is that we will be converting this textile waste and a plastic waste into a handmade recycled material which can substitute the vegan leather. And because of the quality or because of the moldability of this material, it can be not just used for outerwear, but can be further molded into making various materials like vegan leather, floor tiles and wallpapers, and solid materials like trays and toilet stools. This has successfully, and these are the kind of products that we've created over the years through Lifafa. Right. So the market opportunity here, considering the vegan leather, is said to be worth over 85 billion globally by 2025. And as the demand for animal-free leather because of increased awareness continues to increase, it will also increase the market for vegan leather, which is the product that we create using textile and plastic waste. As mentioned here, the total available market by 2025 should be $85 billion. And the served available market should also be $85 million, of which the obtainable serviceable market is at about $8.5 million. The most important factor to consider here is that it not only will it be good for the environment, but at the same time, it prevents the inhuman killing of animals in the process of creating Kanika, you want to take this up now?
So thanks for the background. This is just something we wanted to explain about our business model at Lifafa. Lifafa is a social enterprise, and we have the non-profit arm which trains, which first builds the technologies that we then train grassroots communities of artisans, refugees, and waste workers into utilizing waste to create resourceful and high utility, high fashion products. The nonprofit side takes care of the R&D, capacity building, and advocacy, while the for-profit is the design and marketing arm for all these groups and communities that we work with, and uses the company utilizes these products and sells them across the world today. We have an established export network with members of the World Fair Trade Organization, currently $1,000, and we have our own e-commerce platform, sell on Amazon, as well as a wholesale platform on conserveindia.org. Currently, we have this revenue streams for both these organizations as separate. We look for grants like these for skill development, for setup costs. The groups that we work with tend to become 2 years. And through the period of these 2 years, like 1 year is the completely the capacity building training period, and 1 year is handholding, which Conserve provides. If needed, this handholding support continues beyond the 2nd year, because ultimately we also want the group to succeed. As our business, the revenue that we achieve for us from the sales of products is dependent on the success of these groups. At the moment, this is what our team structure looks like. Conserve is the nonprofit arm, whereas Lifafa is the for-profit arm. Currently, I'm leading the social enterprise with Anita Ahuja heading the nonprofit, with our team involving research and policy experts like Devanshi, product innovation, and designers for both materials and design. And Bhagirath and Prema lead the capacity building within the communities. The for-profit arm is handled by me taking the marketing front, and Shalabh Ahuja with handling the financials. Our supply chain is completely focused on the urban poor. This whole project was set up as an income generation project for the waste workers. These waste workers, the rag pickers that work in the landfills, they have the harshest of conditions, and they're really the poorest of the poor in urban society. It is a very exploited class from like the public, the masses, the waste mafia, the municipalities, like diseases running rampant, sexual abuse, malnutrition. Like there is not one social problem that does not exist in India's slum today. I can proudly say we have been able to train over 1,200 rag pickers to create upcycle material resource that has been available to them. And low-income artisans. India has this very rich heritage of artisanal crafts, but it is dying down. As more and more foreign companies are entering India with fast fashion, cheaper materials, cheaper technologies, and cheaper products, India is a price-sensitive market that is going towards these Western fads rather than preserving the heritage that our artisans had. Today, we're asking for a fund of $18,900 to take this project beyond the northern states of India. Since our inception in like 2008, when we first started creating products from plastic waste, we have been very focused in the Delhi NCR belt. But now we are taking this project across India to different states. And for this particular grant, we're looking to place this project in Goa. We already have partnerships in place with the municipality to waste and waste workers and the National Skill Mission for an artisan group that would be able to craft the end products. Goa has an excessive problem of plastic and textile waste coming in and lack of segregation. Because of the large number of tourists that come in this Mapusa belt area, there is no segregation at source that is possible, while the Goan citizens are still conscious about this fact. There is also a high local demand for conscious products. Goa has the tourists that Goa has, the spiritual camps, the meditation groups that come there. There is a very high demand of conscious products. So this kind of a project. This is the action plan that we have for this project. Grant support and builds the training and capacity of women and youth in microfactory, which then produces products for Lifafa and other sales channels. The group that is free to deliver to other to build financial independence and sustainability faster. Lifafa goes to their own customers, primarily export customers in Europe and America, and we sell these products to them while giving income to the women and youth of the waste to fashion microfactory.
Your time's up.
Oh, okay. Okay, this was just, can I take a minute, Daisy?
Sure, please sum it up in around 30 seconds.
All right. So these are just the SDGs and impact that we already have. We impacted a total of 9 SDGs while upcycling 360 tons of plastic waste and 2,800 number of people trained in upcycling processes. For the scalability, as I mentioned, we're already going to different states. For the Mapusa microfactory particularly, it will be the first of its kind microfactory to upcycle synthetic textiles. This has not happened all over the world, a grassroots project to upcycle synthetic textiles. And this will be used as a showcase across the Goa, Maharashtra region to have similar technologies set up there. That's all. Thank you. That's from my side. These are just some reviews from our suppliers and our customers. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Kanika. So we can move ahead with the Q&A round. I request our judges to please unmute themselves and start asking questions as the Q&A round starts now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As no one has come up, I will come up with a question. So thank you very much. I think it is very interesting project. I have two concerns about, we are trying to decrease plastic generation and waste. So how do you look forward to your industry sustainability in, say, 25 years' time, long term? Because if we are trying to reduce plastic, and probably there would be no plastic used in a way which has become your raw material, then how will you survive and in a long term? I will post my question later on, the second question later on.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Yes, we completely agree with you. We lobby and advocate for a complete plastic ban. But looking at the numbers today, there is a 30% year-on-year increase predicted in the manufacturing of plastic. So currently our advocacy efforts are also for the low density plastic that needs to be banned. But if we look at the landfill at the moment, there is plastic that is not going to disintegrate and will be in our circle for the next thousands of years to come. So therefore, we want to create the circular economy model for these plastics, that once even our products that we make from discarded plastic, these products can also then be recycled and stay in the loop of the economic system and do not reach the landfill. So in that way, we completely are for the plastic ban but there is also this truth that at the moment, the plastic that we have, that's not going anywhere. So we really need to manage that as well.
Sure, but how do you say that you are advocating that? Have you any, how you advocate that?
Yeah, we're very active in community forums with the Niti Aayog Circular Economy Plan for Plastics, as well as advocating in industry events at UN events. We have a lot of public engagement sessions on the dangers of plastic pollution.
Right, and the second concern was about the health and safety. I saw some pictures where women were working. How do you arrange for health and safety there?
Yes, definitely. That is one of our prime concerns. We are a fair trade audited company. We follow all the 10 fair trade principles which are laid out by the World Fair Trade Organization. We have audits every 2 years, and to see that there is no exploitation in the supply chain, there is no health and safety hazards. We have trainings every quarter on health and safety measures, understanding the complaints and grievances of everyone involved in our supply chain. And because we believe that the people, planet, and profit of the triple bottom line, we need to support all three factors.
Good. And what are the other facilities you have for the women, because women are working there? So what other facilities as a social responsibility you have? Women might come with the children, women might come with some other and so on. So what other facilities have you made?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a lot of supporting programs that it is customized to what the needs of the groups are. Like, for example, we have a refugee group of women that we work with. For them, it was very challenging to get medical help during COVID. And because as refugees, they don't have that kind of access that citizens do. And that is why, like, we had arranged for doctors to be on call for video calls. We gave them training sessions on COVID prevention, on what to do if you get COVID, on the kind of medication, the simple medicines that were there for COVID. This is one example. Other than that, like, for example, our group in Bahadurgarh, it was in an urban slum in the Bahadurgarh industrial complex. Over there, the challenge was that the nearest government school was 10 kilometers away, and nobody could afford to send their children to school that far. Opened this bridge school over there. So it was not a proper school, but it was a safe area as a bridge school for people to have some kind of an education for their kids, so that when it's possible, they can have the transition to the regular school.
Thank you very much. These are also, I asked you the questions because they might be useful for other participants also to look at wider social responsibility within when you are doing any business. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I also wanted to introduce one more judge, which is Ashish Mehta. He would like to ask some questions as well in this Q&A. Ashish, you can go ahead.
Hi, yeah, should I go ahead? Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you, Kanika and Devanshi. Very interesting presentation and very topical problem. I think Dr. Renuka has asked a lot of things that were playing in my head. I wanted to switch a couple of gears for you in terms of the thinking. And one was, since this is still from synthetic raw material, how are you thinking about end of life and other best practices? This Sustainable Apparel Coalition, which has been active for, I think, 4 or 5 years now, which is supposed to take care of right from production and raw material all the way to essentially end of life. So while they're not creating a circular economy model, the principle is that, but all the way downstream. So when you think of best practice and end of life, have you brought in anything in your ecosystem, because you've been around for a long time? And where does the SAC actually fit in, if you're aware of that group? That's one question, and I have a second follow-on after that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ashish. Yes, so that is one challenge that we have been facing, and we couldn't do anything about it till now, because from 2008 till 2019, we have been only in exports, and therefore there was nothing we could do to recollect these products. Since we have started expanding on our supply side as well as the sales in the domestic market, we are very keen on creating this recollection mechanism, because we have the technology to recycle these products into some. For example, packaging material that we create can be upcycled into handbags. Those bags can be upcycled into wallpaper. Wallpaper can be upcycled into tiles. And these technologies, we have already prototyped, we have gathered them. But yes, to implement it, there will be operational challenges. And that is why we're keen on creating this decentralized system of micro factories, that wherever this localized collection happens, it can go to the nearest micro factory for further upcycling. And beyond that, yes, I mean, the Sustainable Apparel Coalition has been doing fantastic work on designing for circularity. But at the moment, like since most of our work has been focused from the waste coming from landfills, when we went to landfills and we've seen how much the textile waste actually coming to landfills has increased over the years, that is what triggered us into trying to create a technology for textile waste. And it is the synthetic waste, the fast fashion waste, which is thrown away very quickly. And it does not find any place in the resale market or in the recycling market that we currently have. That is why we wanted to create something for synthetic textiles, mostly because there is no solution at the moment for this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, as you're looking, and I was going to ask about your percentages. Somewhere bringing that end of life piece is important, because the premise around fast fashion is consumer behavior is about use and dump. If that's not changing, and I think like Dr. Renika said, some advocacy has to happen on that standpoint, but the concept of end of life, if you know, guys like all of us in the room are not doing it, the consumer behavior will not change, and that's a core requirement of sustainability.
So I just wanted to add something on the advocacy side that we're currently doing. The nonprofit also has been doing this project, this research project with the University of Utrecht in Netherlands on circular economy in India, Netherlands, and Spain. And the companies who have adopted circular economy, what the social aspect of circular economy. So our first paper is just getting published this month, and we will be disseminating it at all public and industry forums.
Okay, all right. What's your percentage of revenues on the for-profit side from the sales, and the, like, what's the percentage from sales and percentage from your patented technology?
We've only patented, I licensed the technology once. Directors had, we had a meeting with everybody, and it was decided that if it's a grassroots project, we will not charge a patenting fees. But if a private company would like to license it, then we will negotiate a licensing deal.
Okay, so just one suggestion. There is, and you might have looked at this, from an impact standpoint on the investment side, there has been a lot of focus around gender lens investing. I think I saw somewhere that this is a totally a women-oriented co-founder group, even from your sheet. So some of these loops, I think the access to the gender lens investing, which tends to be at this point supporting on the impact side, both the for-profit and not-for-profit. Since you have both arms, it should help you do some of that and probably open up a little bit more doors around some of the things you want to do, but you're constrained as a business operationally, right? So take a look at that. I mean, happy to connect on it later. But gender lens impact investing over the last, I think, 3 years has become fairly mainstream, and there's a lot of impact investors who are looking for exactly this model, which is women oriented and also helping women on the ground on the rural side itself. So, you know, that's something to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that feedback. I'd really like to know more about that.
Last 1 minute.
Hi, Kanika, this is Mahesh. So just one quick question. I think the grant that you're seeking right now from the Nisarg Foundation is for your NGO arm of it, or it's going to benefit both. If so, what do you think will be the training and capacity, to these women's, how many number, and how many of them will be, taken into your private arm? You're planning for that. How many of them will be, having sustainability beyond the project duration?
Yes, thank you, sir. We are seeking this grant for the non-profit side. So this grant will be used as a seed fund to set up this group of, we start with 25 women. We usually get a drop off of around 5 to 7 women from that group. And finally, when we have 15 to 20 women, these are then set up as, the process takes about 2 to 3 years. Till then, Conserve will be supporting them with all of the business, all the trainings, all the support for their wages, income, etc. But once the ultimate goal is that this can be an independent enterprise by themselves. And we have...
Sorry, Kanika. Kanika, just a minute. What kind of training are you going to provide?
So we do like production training. For the production training, we have collection of waste, segregation, cleaning, processing into fabric, and then making the product. So this is the production training, but beyond this, we also do business function trainings like accounting, quality checking, packaging, branding, and IT, sales, sourcing. So we have like a 24 module structure that and micro enterprise creation. And then once they are ready, we start pushing them, facilitating their marketing linkages in local markets with some few government orders. And then once they have reached a level where their quality is good, where they are, slightly acclimatized to digital space, they have some local shops who are keeping their products, then we start withdrawing from the group. We are, of course, there for any kind of support they need, but they are formalized into a cooperative structure, and leaders are elected from within the group. And this has worked well for us in the past. We have 7 SHGs like these we have created in the past 8 years, who are now running. Thanks.
Please complete the answer and we can continue.
Running profitably as successful enterprises. Of course, like any business, there are ups and downs. COVID was a very difficult period for them as well as us. But yes, like we're already seeing post-COVID recovery in all these groups. And that is why we have proof of concept that this model works.
Thank you, Kanika. Mahesh sir, would you like to ask anything else, or we can conclude the Q&A?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kanika and team. It was a wonderful presentation. I'm sure our participants have had a good time. Moving ahead to our next speaker. Present his business proposal, or I say project proposal, named as Agro Rangers. Do let us know whenever you're ready to present.
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. I welcome everyone on behalf of Agro Rangers team. So we have a Jaideep and Akshay and Swapnali from Agro Rangers team. Thank you so much, Nisarg Foundation, for providing this opportunity to us. So we are very young non-profit organization, and we have a vision to build the soil health by creating ambassadors in regenerative organic farming methods. And we have a bigger mission to drive the movement of sustainable food production through regenerative organic that being a soil health improve the condition of farmers, environment, animals, and people's health. Wall about soil.
Imagine the country you live in being hit by less and less fertile soil, making crop growing increasingly difficult.
Sandstorm conditions prevail in the Indian capital, and now there are fears of
desertification and erosion are both concerns.
The United Nations agencies, with enough scientific data, they're clearly saying that we have soil, agricultural soil, for another 80 to 100 crops on the planet. This is 45 to 60 years is what we have agricultural soil. We are calling this as soil extinction. You've heard of dinosaurs going extinct, you have heard of dodos going extinct, but this is soil extinction is what we are looking at.
So why our soil is going to extinct? So I was a part of government soil health mission where I had to taste the village soil of my village, in which in a result, I found out that average organic carbon of our soil is 80% of our soil is nitrogen deficient. So when I did more research on it, I found out that the chemical farming practices are the main root cause of this land degradation. And these chemical farming practices are the major contributor to the polluting our air, water, and soil. And due to this pollution contributes to the climate change effect, the monsoon patterns are getting changed. And due to uncertain weather conditions, farmers are losing. Excuse me. So due to this uncertain weather, farmers are losing crops day by day. And when I did the more research at farmers level, I found out that according to Census of India, every day 2,000 farmers quit farming and 45 farmers commit suicide on an average. In my village, the old, and at the Indian farmer's age is 46 years old. These chemical farming practices not just affected the environment and farmers, but also affected the consumers who are consuming this food. These chemical farming practices produce unhealthy food which lacks nutrition and create more health issues such as cancer. So how we are fighting it with this big mountain? So we are focused to build the soil through regenerative organic farming methods. So what are these regenerative organic farming methods? So these methods are sequester more atmospheric carbon and put it into the soil and build the soil organic matter. In this training center, we are working on to develop this build soil. Swapnali.
Okay. So to solve this soil fertility issue, we have 3 pronged approaches. Where in our training, we will be developing innovations to soil fertility, building and sustainable farming models like regenerative agroforestry, intercropping, and mixed cropping models, etc. So here, in the Agro Rangers camp, we would be training farmers and students from agriculture background in sustainable farming models and training them and improve soil fertility by regenerative organic farming methods. We are more focused to train youngsters, as we believe that youngsters has the potential to change the current scenario in this current scenario if we mentor them properly and under the family farmer model, we are training farmers in all the aspects of regenerative farming.
Start the organic farming with the farmers. In initial year process, it takes 3 years to complete the transition of soil to become a fertile. So in this process, we are helping to the farmers by providing the direct market linkages to the consumers. From this process, from this approach, the farmers can get extra fair rate for their produce, and also they are able to continue their organic farming practices. So this platform, this platform is a hook for the farmers to continue the organic farming practices. At our organic farming training center, there are 12 things we have to do in the future. So the green color shows that the things are completed and in running. Then blue color shows things are work in progress, and red color shows the things are yet to soon.
So the location of this training center is in our village, Dhamari, where we are focused to work on these 12 villages of Shirur Tehsil from the Pune district. So the brown colored areas are these 12 villages. So why we are focused on these areas only? Because these villages comes under drought prone. These are the only villages from Pune district which are the rain-fed, which comes under rain-fed area. Because the average rainfall for these villages are 230 mm per year. And due to the farming has become seasonable in these particular villages, farmers are using more chemical pesticides and more chemical fertilizers for high yield. And due to this excessive use, the soil has become more infertile day by day. So we started in 2018, where we got the first hit of our 10 villages, and we tested 5,000 samples. In the result, we got the day by day. So in 2019, we started working on developing some composting solutions, and we received the scholarship from Kantari International Institute where we started the Agro Rangers as a non-profit organization to train the farmers in regenerative organic farming methodology. Where we have, in 2020, we developed different organic farming models to train ourselves and to train farmers. Despite the heat of COVID, we were still able to train more than 50 farmers in this year. In 2020-21, we have to change little bit our strategy, and we started making the farmers cooperative model, because to keep the farmers continuously practicing these farming practices, he need to have the little marketing support. So we made a farmers cooperative model, and in this year we trained 160 agriculture students in regenerative agriculture. This farmers cooperative model has documented by Access Agriculture, the organization from Belgium, to how we are how the farmers group are generating income from their organic produce. In this year, we have started building our own training center to mobilize the farmers at one stop and to conduct the different kind of training structures and model farms, so farmer can actually see like what are these models. With side by side, we are also documenting traditional agriculture information, which is getting generation from our grandparents. And these knowledges, we believe that it's very important for us to learn and to use this science so we can implement it with modern technology and help the farmers in more better way. So for this project, we have the budget and action plan. So to complete these 12 activities in 4 phases, we require $34,666 budget. Out of it, we have already raised $11,000. And the blue colors activity are partially raised, in which in native forest, we have raised the saplings. And in the rangers camps, we have already completed few of the trainings. The red color activities are the sponsored, and the white, the remaining activities is yet to be completed, or we are looking for the funding for these activities. We have started in October 2020-21, where we are continuously following the timeline up to March 2021. Backslide. So we have started in October 2021, and we are following timeline up to March 2021. March 2022, and the yellow color activity is getting started soon. So in this month, we are building the eco-friendly training space to conduct the trainings for the farmers. And this yellow activity will be following the timeline up to the January 2023. So the projected outcome from this to train 90 farmers in this year, where we will be getting the 15 acres of the land under organic cultivation, which will store 100. Sorry, I think there is some disturbance. So this 50 acres of land will be storing the 100 of tons carbon into the soil. And similarly, in 2023, 2024, and 2025, we will be training more farmers. We will be getting more farmers under organic cultivation, storing 1,000 tons of the carbon, and which will be years. So the till date we have done this impact. So
till date, now we have conducted almost 9 regenerative organic farming trainings, out of from which we were able to train 237 plus farmers, from where 26 farmers are directly associated with direct marketing. And these farmers are providing service to 210 families for providing with organic products. And with the help of these farmers, plus acres of land under organic cultivation, and 58 farmers who have been practicing organic cultivation.
So this is our team. Like my name is Desh, and I am the founder and director at Agro Rangers. So I'm by qualification, I'm a mechanical engineer, but by profession and by art, I'm a regenerative farmer, and taking care of our farm, where I do every day. I do some farming activity in the morning, and I handle all the operational management at Agro Rangers. So the living experience from my farming community motivated me to work on these soil issues. because my father didn't wanted me to become a farmer. Because there is some stigma in our community that the farmers' children cannot be a farmer. Because they have the societal pressure that how the engineer's son can work in the farming. So still the fight from the argument from my father, I'm still continuing in this project and helping the farmers to build the soil health. Jaydeep.
Yeah, my name is Jaydeep, and I am a co-founder at Rangers and handling all ground operations at AgroRangers. By qualification, I am an electronics engineer and using a technology to help the farmers in a better way. So as a son of farmer, I personally connected to this bigger vision and understand the depth of the problem. So at AgroRangers, we want to work for the betterment of farmers and environment.
Hello, I'm Swapnali. I'm also a daughter of farmer and handling training and capacity building programs at AgroRangers. So by profession, I'm a microbiologist, and I believe that microbiology plays an important role in improving soil health and regenerative agriculture. So I'm here using my technical knowledge to solve this soil health issue and training farmers and youngsters in regenerative agriculture.
We have other team members, Swapnil. Today, Swapnil is like managing our farm at AgroRangers. Swapnil's family follows like natural farming since 18 years. And Swapnil is so experienced in all small techniques because his father is a like experimental farmer and he is our mentor in this particular farm. Through the process where we are building different models in the agroforestry, intercropping and mixed cropping model, which crops should go with which, the diversity of the crops, in the organic inputs. So various things Swapnil is taking care of our farm at our farm. And we also have the other mentors and the advisors which are supporting us time to time in agriculture related activities by technically or in the organizational wise also. And we are all the farmers, we are all youngsters from farming community and trying to build this, trying to work on this. And thank you so much. And we are open to have a question. I guess we are on time and we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siddesh. So we still have 1 minute left. So we'll add it to the Q&A round. I'll request our judges to please unmute themselves and start asking questions as the time starts now.
Thank you, Siddesh. It was a very nice presentation and extremely interesting. And I'll have everybody else ask the question in the end.
Okay, sure.
Well, I don't have any question, but as such, I had a question, but you beautifully addressed it in the last, your slide about team. But actually there is no one wants to become farmer. And your value in becoming a farmer. I understand that the young people who are not having jobs, or maybe due to the way you have presented, might be attracted to your project. But what are you doing, farmers? Because we have a very large community of traditional farmers and they are not actually involved or have capacity as a farmer. You know, they want to stick to the traditional practices, and that's the biggest issue with us in any community, that we want to stick to the traditional because you're comfortable in that zone. So what are you doing for them?
Okay, so the first of our approach is to taste the soil of that farmer. So we get the result, like once we show the result, okay, this is your soil content and which is lacking lot of nutrients and your soil is becoming infertile day by day. So it's like the similar kind of the awareness that we are, then he will ask like how I can improve it. Then we have the solutions, but it's not like we are creating the interest for the farmers to what is the happening. Like, so the first step is to
Yes,
create
I understand.
awareness.
Hello. I understand
Yes.
the way you go forward, that is fine. But what is the first point, how you attract them to test their soil? Because that is the biggest part, the interest of that farmer within your this. And is it free?
So we have the one technological organization, Ashram. So they have developed this low cost unit to taste the soil. And when I was doing this soil testing, that was the government's project. Farmers, and I have all the farmers report like with me. So that was the starting point when farmers know me well, like how we have done the soil testing. So they know like what is there in the soil and what is not there in the soil. So the first hook that you ask, that is the family farmer model, in which we say, if you do these practices, we will provide you the extra fair rate. But what we are trying to do, we are working on the soil so that his production, like his soil quality can improve and his food quality can improve, and then he gets the better fair rate. So working with the soil, but showing the hook as a giving the better marketing opportunity. So these are the two main approaches for the farmer. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
hope it answers.
No, of course I understand. Are trying, so thank you very much, and you are going towards the right path, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is Askar Natarajan, interesting presentation. Just
Thank
wanted
you,
to know, what is it that you will be doing after this? How does this go on sustaining itself? Are you going to be seeking continuous funding for doing these training every year? What is the plan?
Okay. So in this training center, we will be having already the agroforestry model, nursery model, and the intercropping and outer like mixed cropping models. So which will be generating the revenue where we will make our farming model more sustainable. And when it comes to the farmers level at the training programs, we have this family farmer model in which we have already connected like more than 26 farmers. So which is directly connected to the 210 consumer families. So where we will be generating the revenue, and we are getting like 2% of this profit to make our model more sustainable, so we can get more farmers in this model, in this farmer cooperative model. Yes, sir.
Will you be able to continue to do this on your own? Will it start generating enough revenues to continue what you wish to do? Because training is not an easy task, and you need to continuously carry these, and also to determine what these people are doing after the training. Are they going away to a city and working in a Flipkart driver, or what is it that they are going to be doing?
Okay, so they have the targeted they are doing the farming in our community. So it's not they will be doing other jobs after getting the training, that we will be starting with their small acres of a piece, like half acre. We already started with few farmers with a half acre of a land, and now they are converting complete land into the starting with the half acre of a land, where they will be getting more benefits because we are directly connected them with the direct market. Extra fair rate for their produce, they are converting all their lands into the regenerative cultivation. So it's not about after training we are leaving them. That's true that the whole number is not completely getting converted, but up to 200 we have is already practicing with us. So interested, that's very right. Those farmers who understand the soil and they are continuing with us, and they are getting their land to organic cultivation. Did it answer, sir? Bhaskar, sir?
Did.
Thank you, sir.
So, Siddesh, so are you just right now focused in nearby Pune area, right?
Yes, so this village is like 50, and we are working in this village itself only on this barren land right now. So we are focused on these 12 villages because these are the drought prone villages in this Pune district, and we are trying to integrate some crop models where it will have the farmers will have the more less rain water variety, and they will be generating at least enough income from it. So that's why we are more focused on these 12 villages at this level, but we will be going to the larger scale after 5 years of a plan. But these 5 years, we are more focused on these 12 villages.
Okay. And what's the population of those villages?
So right now, in my village, we have 4,000 farmers alone, and we have population almost 11,000 in one village. And on an average, we have like 6,000 population total.
Okay.
I don't know the exact figure, but it will be around 50,000 of total population.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Ask some questions.
3 minutes left.
No, I think I don't have any question.
Yeah, no problem.
Good project.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
please. If we have a minute.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Siddesh. Thank you for that presentation and your team. I was wondering a little bit about impact from a measurement standpoint. Are you doing something with the farmers or afterwards also once they adopt it? And is there some data that you have based on 2-3 years of what the actual changes? And other than soil, are you also looking at water table by any chance? Since you said it is drought prone area.
Right. So first model of rainwater harvesting system. So it's not just about creating awareness about the soil, but it's also about harvesting rainwater. In our farm, when we will be conducting the training, farmers will be able to see this model. So how we are collecting the water from within a farm, and which will be on, and how we are recharging our
procedure. I'm just saying, are you doing any baselining and then subsequent testing to say, you know, whatever the quality was, like you said in the initial phase, nitrogen was very high and organic content was very low. Are you doing any baselining after that to say whether it's 6 months, 1 year, and also baselining on what that revenue increase is for farmers who adopt this?
Okay. So what we are doing, we have the project called organic carbon mapping. We are not like documenting all the parameters. At start, we are documenting, we have already. But the organic carbon is the major thing which shows your soil fertility. So we have the kit for it, and those farmers who will be associated with us, we will be mapping their carbon. So at the start, the processes start with their soil testing. Means we will know how much is the organic carbon mapping. After 6 months, after 1 year, after 1.5 years, we will be measuring all this organic carbon mapping. And Jaideep is developing this technology, technological intervention to mapping the organic carbon. And for the revenue generation, also we have connected directly to this model, this farmer cooperative model. We already know how farmers are getting the income, because that money is directly credited into their account from track, like how much the revenue they are generating.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ashish.
40 seconds left.
maybe let us sing a song. Hum honge kamyab.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. I mean,
So we can move to the
we're
next
trying
one.
our best. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Siddesh and team. It was a wonderful presentation. I had a great time personally. Moving ahead, I'd like to invite Dhruv and his team for presenting their project proposal, which is linking NRLM with SDGs for uplifting rural communities. Dhruv, if you're here, please unmute yourself and let us know whenever you're ready. I repeat again, Dhruv or anyone from your team, if you're present, please unmute yourself and let us know. Since Dhruv hasn't responded yet, we can evaluate his proposals at the end if it's available. We can move ahead to the next proposal. I'd like to invite Taniksha Educational Welfare Society for presenting their project, Promotion of Sustainable Livelihoods Through Collective Action in the District of Salem-Pur. If you're here, please let us know, unmute yourself and try sharing your screen.
Hello everyone, I will be present. I'm audible?
Yes, sure.
So this project I'm continuing where Siddesh ended. Actually, presented a very good project. I'm continuing where Siddesh ended. So this is about, I'm sharing my screen. Hold on a minute. So this is about promotion of a sustainable agricultural livelihood through a collective action. What Siddesh ended, there's a lack of organic carbon in the soil and the nitrogen content has been increasing because of n number of factors, because of uneven practices of agrochemicals users. Sharing about the project area at Salem-Pur is present in Muzaffarnagar district with a population of 3,700 people. It is part of sugar bowl of India, where the sugarcane production as well as jaggery production, sugar production is in huge amount. And because of this, there's an excessive use and misuse of your growth regulators, weedicide, pesticide, fungicide has been a huge amount, which has already polluted the entire ecosystem as well as freshwater system. What we have seen in all across the India, what we are seeing is that there's an increase in the pesticide and other agrochemical increase in the groundwater level. So what we are proposing to the people to stop, not to stop or immediately stop the use of pesticide in the area, but
assignments.
Gradually their agriculture practices towards more sustainable way and even in the organic format or a natural farming format, which is initially used. So what the problem is initially, there's an decrease in the agriculture land. There's a small data which is presented in APS.DAC.gov.in. There's a decrease in the agriculture land because and there's another problem related to these, and there's less sources of income. Initially there are n number of sources of income for the farmer itself for selling vegetables, and now these has been reduced. The cost of living has been increasing day by day. The crop productivity has been also been reduced because of high manure, high pesticide and waste, and there's a land degradation also. So just to establish for the people of Muzaffarnagar, we need to make some changes in their agriculture practices. And those agriculture practices should be in such a way, changes should be in such a way that we can establish our agriculture practices so that any impact to climate change can be easily moderated. So there's a small, there's a graph depicting the decrease in the cultivation area and the increase in the yield of Muzaffarnagar district. Initially, when there's around 40,000 hectares of land, the yield was very low. But after 2012 and 13, when it's become a part of NCR, the agriculture area has been decreasing a substantial amount, but the yield has been increasing because the demand for sugarcane has always increasing. So just to have a good yield, the agrochemical pesticides and so what we have, the present situation is also there. The people are dependent on rain, basically for the irrigation purposes. There's a lack of credit facility. Traditional knowledge, which was initially used to reduce your fungus or red rot, which was in the plants, has been completely gone. There's a productivity failure, crop failure is also there. And the soil health has been reduced gradually. Droughts are prominent, and even the wild animals harms the crop. Now, what we suggest we have, in which we can work, create a model where people can mix their modern technology, traditional knowledge, agriculture practices, even the management practices for soil and water management also. What is the crucial part now? As I initially mentioned, that groundwater has been also been deteriorating, reducing, and the quality of water has also been reduced, getting corrupted, polluted because of many pesticide and other things. So management practices, which include soil, water, even your soil, your farm activities also should be mixed together so that we can have a good approach for and sustain also. So this objective is to increase the cultivation area as well as the yield, and to create a sustainable another thing is to create a marketable product out of this and prepare a management plan for the village 7. Initially, what we are seeing, there is no farming management plan. Farmers are there, they are working individually. They are not working in a group. Now we want these people to come in a group. If they are doing organic farming, selling anything, they should be done in a very good way. FPO is an example. They are FPO, but FPOs generally, when you talk about FPOs, they are generally have an idea to sell their products, but not to this, how the management, how the farming should be done, how the farm management should be done. They are not working. European countries and in US, what we see, the n number of farmers are joining together. They are farming in one single farm. They are not doing different. What we have seen in India, that this part of area belongs to me and that part of area belongs to me. One is doing sugarcane, the another is doing potato, and at the end of the day, they are not getting good profit out of that. So to create that kind of farming management plan for the village scenarios, we'll work with the farmers so that this draft can come out. So gaps, what we have identified, soil health, soil testing from a good soil testing lab, government testing lab should be done, okay? And how the dosage should be, fertilizer dosing should be done in the farms. That has to be calculated. For example, if nitrogen, instead of using nitrogen phosphorus based fertilizer, they should use potassium based. So on the basis of those parameters, the credit facility and emergency fund loan should be created for the farmers in case of the need. We want to create some income generation activities for the farmers. Farmers are producing good products, but they are not creating or adding value to those products so that they can generate a good income out of that. And there's also a lack of product development knowledge. I've across the India that in a sugarcane belts, there are farmers that they are producing jaggeries, but they are not making it a good product which can be sold into the market. You can, if you go to buy market, when you want to buy jaggery, it comes in loose format. It's not packaged. It's not labeled. The date of production. There are few things which are not there. So we want to create those products and those knowledge which is related to product development. And now, what activities we will do over here? The activities will be, there's an interaction between, we want to create an interaction between the farmers and the experts. What kind of experts we are talking about here? We are talking about soil testing experts, soil quality experts, how to integrate pest management experts, how these activities will help the farmers at the end of the day, which is very important. And we want farmers to adopt those technologies. Yes, ma'am raised a question about traditional knowledge. Yes, people are there. They don't want to leave that traditional knowledge that we have learned. Trial and errors के बाद, what I'm quoting them कि मैंने बहुत experiments किए, तब जाके मेरे को ये समझ में आया कि इस तरह से ऐसे करना है. I just want to create an idea कि yes, that trial and error takes some time. And the rainfall and even at the weather conditions also. Now those trial and error has to increase at a much faster rate. So these examples of weather condition, rainfall conditions and water quality conditions, we share with these. So on the basis of that knowledge, they can able to change their ideologies and they can adopt their methods which are present in with the science communities or the agriculture communities, scientific agriculture communities, and they can use it. Even we want to create group. Pharma group can produce good number of goods, and those goods can be processed into some material or some food-based product, which can be sold into the nearest market, which is in present day. If we are able to generate a good market for those products, for example, pickles, even if they are going for the organic food has a different kind of a market in major metro cities. They can easily work over there. So packaging part or these kind of activities, we want to work with farmers and the women groups itself. So in both the gender will be the address, and alternate farming system, for example, drip irrigation and other things we want to what approach will be there? Approach will be there. Productive enhancement, agronomic innovation, agriculture universities and many agriculture. What we have seen that there's a trend or the changes in drip irrigation and something of your spraying systems also are there. So we want farmers to adopt those. Soil management plan should be there. Nutrient conservation. Organic carbon, we are talking about NPK, your carbon, the boron also.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Your slides are not at all moving. Are you moving your slides?
Yes, ma'am, I'm moving. Is it available? Visible, ma'am?
Yeah, on which slide you are?
I'm on approach.
Okay.
Okay. Now, even we also will involve in production of organic manure, which will help in income generation also. And further moving, how will be our activities will be there? Initially, we will do a survey of agriculture land, what kind of agriculture lands are there, and what are the cultivation process and irrigation facilities in this area. We'll do the stakeholder mapping just for the. Actually, what we are seeing these days, sometimes farmers have a problem. They don't know where to move ahead and where to go. And for that particular reason, when we create this management plan, we create those stakeholders, where they want to go and where they should go, so that they can solve their map and digitized map for the farmers to easily. We want farmers to come together to create this. A participatory approach will be there in participatory management, farming management plan. So we want these monthly workshops and farmer interview on a very regular basis in a month, so that they can come together, they can share their experience, they can share their learnings, and that learnings and sharings will compiled in this management plan. And even with the different department will do the licensing so that they can get easily subsidized facilities from the government itself. What the project interventions will be, soil and water management, good agriculture practices, what are kind of good agriculture practices there. We'll create some exposure visits for the farmers so that they can visit how these agriculture practices should be performed and how this can be adopted. And we want the collaboration. We'll collaborate them with local KVKs, CSV, so that they can get their information easily. Expected outcome will be the compiled database for farmers and stakeholders in their area, which can be easily accessed by the farmers and group or any people who are residing over there. Information also, traditional knowledge, old and new current practices of the agriculture production, whatever it may be sugarcane. It should be compiled in a very prescribed format. Strategies, how this they will develop their own strategies. We'll talk to the farmers and they will develop their own strategies. Even with this agriculture practices will increase their livelihood and how it can be sustained further. What the yield, what kind of seed they should use, what kind of the material and what kind of pesticide and fertilizers they should avoid so that the growth can be maintained and good yield can be obtained. And we want to promote entrepreneurship activities so that they can create a marketable product which can be sold into the local market. This is our budget breakdown, and thank you. You can ask any question further.
Thank you, Vinod. So we still have 1 minute left that will add it to your Q&A round. I'd like to request our judges to please unmute themselves and start the Q&A round. Thank you.
Hello, this is Bhaskar Natarajan. Thank you for the presentation. I have earlier in terms of sustainability and how are you going to measure the full benefits of what you're doing? I mean, preparing a plan is not enough, and compiling these materials. What is it that you're going to see how it has impacted the farmers' lives and the people in the village? And how is this activity likely to be continued in the next few years? Or will you be seeking funding every year from some other organization?
So when we talk about sustainability, how it will sustain, actually when the result, it speaks itself. So initially what our practices will be, first we calculate the cost of production, what the cost of production, what amount they're investing in their pesticide and agrochemicals just to get a good particular amount of yield. Now, on the basis of that, when we ask them to adopt organic manure and reduce these pesticides and use as per the requirement, so what is the cost changes there? Whether they can get any benefit out of that or not. These small steps promote them to move these practices in further away and move to organic, because as we know, organic products have a very high value. So they will shift in a small steps, but not, I'm saying that within a small period, they will immediately jump to organic farming. It will take some time, but I'm not asking you funds in every year, but we'll get in touch with these guys every year and now and then. So what kind of practices are there? So we'll be in touch with these guys.
How are you going to do the certificate? A long process. It is an expensive process and it has to be repeated periodically. So what are your plans on that? Who will certify?
So we'll go with the government local agencies. We'll go to the government local agency certification. That's why asking mapping of stakeholders. The very first component when we talk about mapping of, if I'm asking a farmer to obtain the organic certificate, so he can easily go over there and what kind of testing. I'm not saying to depend on me. I want to create a farmer. I want to ask them, look those things which are not available in the market and which are not present over there. For example, if organic certification takes 3 years, so if in the very first year you ask him to go move over there, meet that person and how he'll help you. If the farmer knows this, if a farmer has this knowledge, he will definitely move further. If the farmer has no information where to move ahead, where should look for the information, where he should look for the problems and troubles, CSVs, KVKs, if they are not getting interacted. For example, what I have seen in my past experiences also, farmers know that there is a KVK, but KVK is also providing trainings and other activities also, but they are not part of that. I want to connect those farmers to those institutions from where they can get easily help.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Daisy.
Yep. Hi, Vinod. This is Mahesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You're going to create a management plan, connect with few experts, things like that. What if some of the plan fails, or if whatever they do, they get some suggestion, and there can be 100 reasons for crop to fail or practices to take its own course of time to be sustainable. What is your risk mitigation plan in that case?
Risk mitigation. For example, if any plan we create, if a farmer is well equipped with the information and how to handle these kind of problems, he can easily work on it. And if this participatory approach is there, he will definitely look for information from those farmers. If those monthly meetings, for example, if those monthly meetings will be there, he will definitely get an answer from the farmer itself. Otherwise, from those stakeholders which help him to work on these. So in this way, we can already reducing the risk. And if any activities, any mishap occurs, so what kind of activities in those management plans? It's a good suggestion from your side also. We'll put that in that management plan. If any kind of risk or any kind of activity which will harm your crops, or what action they should take further, we can create a roadmap for them. Where should it go and what kind of action they should take.
Thank you. But this is something we should think about, because you're playing with the livelihood of people. What if you make a management plan and you ask the village to stick to it, and at least certain portion of it gets affected? Then it'll reflect not only there on Tanishka's educational welfare society, but also people who are involved in the process, right?
True, very true, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vinod.
Vinod, Rishi here. I had a question.
Hello, sir.
The activities that you spelled out, are these hypothetical? I mean, are they happening on the ground right now, or are you waiting for the grant and then there'll actually be activity on the ground? And who else is there in the Tanishq society?
Pardon, sir?
You?
The activities, we are already doing the survey part. We are talking to the farmers and what are their requirements, what kind of problems they are facing, because Muzaffarnagar is in a part of NCR. So, and even as a farmer they are facing, we already started talking with them, and what kind of pesticide and what kind of agrochemicals they are using in the farm. We are creating that database so that we can address that database. For example, we have seen farmers, they are using growth regulators, but how they are using smell nahi aayi, which is very different kind of approach. You need around few grams in 20 liters of water. Instead of using few grams, they are using a whole bottle of and a few kgs of that material in 20 liters of water, and then they're spraying. So we have already started identifying what kind of activities they are doing and which is wrong. The second part of the question, how many members are there? There are around 4 and 5 members are there. Myself is Ankit, then Mr. Gupta, and we have a GIZ expert who will be doing the mapping part. And we have few field members who will be working in the field, and they will be interacting with the farmers on a regular basis. And they will connect with the farmers and the women also. We are we are working with NRLM also, the local NRLM, and trying to find those. As a part of NRLM, SHGs has been created, but they are not doing any kind of economic activity. So we are, my team members which are present in the field, they are connecting with those SHGs group also and asking them to create those products which can be sold into the local market. So.
Okay, thank you.
I think Ashish has a hand up.
Yeah, do we have minutes to go. Yeah, Daisy, do we have a minute or two more?
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, Ankit, right? Not Vinod. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Ankit, so I had, the same question that Rishi had, a little bit concerned about the number of activities that you've got planned in terms of not just team size, but expertise. But, that's a kind of a concern. But you've listed credit facility also.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate a little bit about it and how you're thinking of rolling it out or what the model is? And don't take too long, just quick update on what that means, if that is an area you're aware of.
So we are going with the microfinances company which are there and which will help them. And second, we are also want the farmers to create a small group where they can share a small amount their pockets. Actually, that, for example, we ask farmers in a group, there's a number of SDGs are there and a number of farmer groups are there. So we have asked few groups just for the initial purposes, start in create an account in which they share 100 rupees per person per month. That will create a small fund for them, which can be used for further activities. And when they have a collective farming plan, that amount can be used together and for other activities also. So,
okay, thank you.
Sure. I think the total amount does not fit into the amount. Yeah. Okay, this is in rupees, so it comes up as the. All right. Is it within the budget which we are asking?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, Vinod.
Yes, sir.
So have you set up it as a non-profit? How is it? Is it for profit, non-profit? Because that's
it's a non-profit organization. Tanishq is a non-profit organization working in different sectors, working in artisan development, skill development, even old ages home. And we are also working with school children also on their education level, how their education is and what they have learned, even environmental education also. And we are working in different areas of Delhi as well as in Uttarakhand, and how these women are working in Uttarakhand and Himachal also.
And how long has it been in existence?
4 to 5 years, I think so. Sorry for that. Actually, not exact date. I'm not able.
No problem. That's fine. I mean, just a rough idea.
Okay, sir.
That should be all from my end.
वापस जाएगा ना, पर उसको अब वो जॉब से भी वो हो गया, उसको तो.
We still have 30 seconds to go, so if we have no other questions, we can move ahead. All right, thank you so much for the presentation. It was a very good presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
you. Moving ahead, I'd like to invite Ms. and her team to present her project Malhar. If you're here, please unmute yourself and do let us know whenever you're ready for the presentation so that I can start the timer.
Yeah, can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Saryu Kamath from Raha Foundation. I head climate change initiatives. We are going to have Dr. Sarika Kulkarni, who Chief Executive Director of Raha Foundation, presenting Malhar to you. And I will present Srishti to you after Malhar presentation gets over. Yeah, over to you, Sarika.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is a great pleasure to be here and bringing you, all of you, wishes on Maharashtrian New Year Day. So wish you all a very, very happy New Year. Foundation, and after a fabulous stint in academics as a professor at Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, and then an entrepreneur for 10 long years, in 2008-9 I decided to spend the rest of my life in development sector, and 2011 I co-founded Raha Foundation. Initially we went on a self-incubation mode because we don't come from the development sector, and we were meeting a lot of people trying to understand how things are done here, and also simultaneously getting all the compliances in place. We started a project in slums serendipity. You know, one fun field trip to Jawhar actually got us hooked onto those tribal areas. I had gone to see a waterfall. On my way back, the entire road was filled with women and young girls carrying pots of water on their heads, and it didn't make any sense to me, honestly. You know, it was so ironical that, you know, there's so much water available, yet there's so much water scarcity, you know, a couple of meters away, and it absolutely didn't make any sense. Those scenes really haunted me. They stayed with me, and I went back again and again and again and again, and I realized that you know, I need to understand, go to the depth of the problem and understand what really the situation is. The area I'm talking about is kilometer. It's about 3 hours driving distance from Mumbai. It's Mumbai, as we all know, is one of the richest commercial city in India. It is the hub of commercial activity, and yet just backyard of Mumbai, you have all kinds of problems. So I went back and again and again and again because I wanted to understand what really the problem was. This is the highest rainfall area in Maharashtra every year, yet it becomes one of the most water scarce area immediately after. And whatever water gets conserved is then sent to Mumbai. In fact, now there is a, you know, a lot of dharna is going on because they want to build a dam on one of the rivers, perennially flowing river, to meet Mumbai's 2025 need. And this keeps on happening. This is about almost 95% of the area is indigenous population lives here. And so we then started going again and again and actually trying to understand what really the problem was. Clearly, problem was water scarcity. And it had multiple types of impacts on multiple types of people. On women, they had to walk for hours with heavy pots on their head, leading to, you know, one woman told me that the moment I wake up in the morning, all I think about is water, and from where am I going to get my day's supply of water and nothing else. There's enormous water stress on men, you know, in spite of having land, you know, small, and they're all, most of them are small and marginal farmers, yet they have to migrate and work as an odd laborer, you know, in urban locations, and entire life gets disturbed. On young girls, education gets compromised because often they have to skip school and help their mothers. Families get disintegrated, and overall there is a vicious cycle of helplessness and enormous poverty, and which we actually call it as a water poverty, because water underpins all social problems, including the power there. Compromised hygiene, compromised stress, enormous stress for livestock, and overall situation of deprivation and desperation. We decided to do more research on this subject as to why this happens. You know, heavy rains, what happens to these rains? These rains clearly wash away, they just flow away without doing a pit stop and percolating below. The problem was with hydrogeology. You know, once we started delving deeper and deeper, we realized that hydrogeology was a problem. This is part of the northern part of Western Ghats, and bulk of the mountains are made up of compact basalt. And these are very hard rocks, and very little percolation happens. Basalt. So that's why the water flows away. Government had done a lot of work there. They had built check dams, they had built open wells, but it was more of a top-down approach. They would just parachute solutions without taking cognizance of the community, without actually thinking about what really is needed. Most of the dams and open wells built by the government become dilapidated in a year or two, and they are left without any further intervention or maintenance done. There were lots of other organizations working there. They were amazing organizations, but we found that many of these organizations had a very output-based approach with limited community involvement. So based on our findings, based on these research, we went back to the drawing board, and using these research and learnings, and we designed our own pilot phase. Important aspect was hydrogeological approach, that understand the hydrogeology of the area, find out which are the discharge zones. Team members, all of us got extensively trained on hydrogeology, because we realized that while it is important to get outside consultants, it's important to actually basically understand what hydrogeology is and how it impacts place. The second most important learning that we brought into practice was involving community. Because Malhar, as we all know, is a Hindustani classical rag for monsoon. So the project is called Malhar, and we create something called a Malhar Samiti, which is a gender neutral water management committee of the village, by the village, for the village. This Samiti is formed immediately once we decide that we want to do an intervention. Samiti is trained, and along with the Samiti, and the Samiti is very well elected, as in, there are elder people are there who have a lot of wisdom, who have been there, done that in the past, who have seen good times, who have seen bad times, who understand why there are bad times, when there were good times once upon a time, what has caused the problem. Then there are lots of women who have faced the problem. It is very important to understand women's point of view in everything that we do. Very, very well balanced committee that we form. And then we also, most important, we realized that to build in an exit option. And exit option at the design stage itself, only then will sustainability come in. So we put all of these learnings into our pilot phase, and we started our work. Pilot was implemented. The first step was to create an inventory of water scarce villages. What is water scarcity? Because what you think, we think water scarcity, they may have a very different definition of water scarcity. So it was very important that what we think and what the community thinks is on the same page. And we created our own definition of water scarcity. We created an inventory of water scarce villages. Next step was to create a Malhar Samiti. We did a formation of Malhar Samiti, training, and then evaluate the water usage matrix. Now So we also realized that it is very, very important to work on both supply side and demand side. While it is so important to create supply as possible or catch every single drop that falls in these villages, it is equally important to actually regulate demand. Because, if there is a water, people, the natural instinct of people is to just start using it without thinking about day. So to build in sustainability, regulating demand side is extremely important. So Malhar Samiti actually does the job of regulating the demand side. Together we sit and curate solution. We actually do a lot of mathematics as to how many people are there, how much drinking water is required by the people. And for drinking water, then what kind of structure should be created? What are the existing structures available? Can we just work on them? Because we believe in taking a nature-based approach or nature-based solutions. So can we just repair the existing structures? Do we really need to build new ones? So, all of these decisions are taken along with Malhar Samiti. What are the other uses of water? Water for livelihoods, water for agriculture, water for hygiene, water for health. And then different structures together, we create a map or a raha. We call it a water raha for the community or for the village. And based on that, together we undertake the construction, renovate or build whatever new ones. Malhar Samiti also chips in with Shramdan. They contribute in labor, because our entire foundation is based on the principle of change without charity. So the community has to contribute something. And we also realize that that has its own inherent benefits, because once community contributes, when they contribute in labor, especially, they had the hard work, the enormous sense of ownership for the structures, and automatically a lot of things get in place. You don't have to discipline them about using water. It automatically happens because they understand that this is their structure. They have labored for this. For example, open well is only exclusively used for drinking water. It cannot be used for anything else. Similarly, the check dam can be used for livelihoods, for cattle, for hygiene, for taking bath, etc. And bore wells can be used for either drinking water or for farming, depending on the location. So then we do all this mapping of structures is done. And then, of course, for exit option, we train the Malhar Samiti extensively for in different government schemes that are available. We also teach them to create a corpus, because typically after 5 to 6 years, some silt gets accumulated in check dam that needs to be removed. So they need to be able to do it without raising any additional funds from us or from any other organizations like us. Either they should dig deeper into government schemes, or they should raise their own money. So we build, and typically after 2 years we exit, because after 1 year we do a midline, and after 2 years we do an endline impact study. Because what happens is that after 1 year, typically they will start using the water for farming. So it's it's very, very important that we stay put there for 1 more year to actually not only help the farmers, but also oversee the functioning of Malhar Samiti. Malhar Samiti also takes very critical decisions as to how much farm is allowed by the farmers to use for harvesting or for plantation, how much, what should be the size of the pipes that are used to draw water, what should be the size of the solar powered motor that is used for drawing water, because equitable distribution of water in the village is also very, very important. That regulation is also done by Malhar Samiti, because not everybody has the same land parcel. Some people have 10 acres, some has just 1 acre, some has 2 acres. And it should not happen that the 10 acre drinks or, uses up all the water, and the lesser or get much water. We started with these 2 smaller hamlets, and subsequently we expanded our work to different areas. This is our theory of change. And this is how we have actually expanded our work to different areas. We started agroforestry, we started building recharge structure bore wells, we started introducing art-based livelihood, because we realized that the women were saving almost 1,200 hours per annum. And it was important to create some livelihood opportunities for them. Our school, their hygiene is not getting compromised. 2,000 farmers have now completely stopped migrating. Money saved is making them more resilient. Communities are living together and practicing their unique culture, and their culture is our cultural heritage, which is we are helping preserve through water, honestly. And so this is the area we have barely scratched the surface, and that's why we are here making a pitch to all of you passionate people. We have, as I mentioned, that there's so much more area which is still parched, which is still thirsty, and we need your support to reach more villages, reach more number of people. And this is my background. These are the different awards that we got, and of course why Ra Foundation, because we have a very strong board, very low admin cost. Me and my family, we continue to be donors to the foundation. Myself, Saryu, Priya, who's here, all of us are pro bono and so passionate. My co-founder is also pro bono. And we, of course, use a lot of science. We do a lot of innovative thinking, a lot of experimentation happens. And once a lot of pilot testing and then scaling up. So we believe in this model. Impact assessment is, a lot of outcome focus and impact driven organization. And this is, as I mentioned in one of the first few slides, that, we have an inventory of villages that are parched. And this is the priority, actually. This is what we are looking to raise. And we request you to allocate whatever budget is possible to our project and help us reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much.
So it was a wonderful presentation. We still have 2.5 minutes to go, which we will be adding to the Q&A round. So I request our judges to please unmute themselves and start the Q&A round.
First of all, thank you, Sarika, for an absolutely wonderful presentation. And so one of the major concern was like, you are saying like you'll be only doing we'll be partially like looking into like partial. So you have another donors already with you for the.
So, this is a continuous activity that we do, because there are so many villages we want to reach, so it is very not possible to just stop at, one place. So we are constantly meeting people, raising funds. So that's a continuous activity, because, we really think that we have a very strong, robust model, which is very easily replicable now to scale up our intervention. And for that, we are meeting as many like-minded people as possible.
Sure.
If I can add to that, Chirag, is that we have a corpus, so the work doesn't stop. Okay, and as the funds keep coming in, it replenishes the corpus. Okay, that is one. And two is, I think we are happy to say that, you know, since last year to this year, we have more than doubled our, you know, the funding that has come in. So we've been able to really work and provide water to the much needed community. So as you know, as we always keep saying, as much as you put in, that's not enough. So every drop counts.
Sounds good.
Chirag, if I may add to it, we also raise funds for agriculture, and water is part of that project too. Like overlapped with other projects that we do.
So, like, what is the area that you target when you're saying in this particular intervention?
So we have a very focused, So we have a very focused intervention in two talukas of Palghar district, which is Jawhar Taluka and Mukhada Taluka. And what we did was we started in Jawhar Taluka, we started from the south side of Jawhar. So, and then we are moving towards north, and then we are moving towards the eastern side, you know. So that's how our journey has been. And now we are kind of reached almost midway to north, and now we are moving to the east side of Jawhar, and similarly with Mokhada. So, you know, so that what happens, we do this clustering approach. So we have clusters. And typically, I would say about 15 to 20 villages come in one cluster. So we have, so that's how we move move from one location. Happens is that there are lots of localized small aquifers in both Jawhar and Mokhada. You don't have a large aquifer. There are small aquifers. Would cover maybe one or two clusters based on, the way we have divided is based on the aquifers, how they are, based on hydrogeology, we have divided the area into clusters. So, we still have so many more clusters which are completely untouched. So, yeah.
Sure. I'll let Bhaskar and others continue.
Yeah. Hi, this is Ashish. Thank you, Sarika and Saryu. Thanks for the presentation. I know you rushed through the last pieces a bit. So one thing I wanted to clarify is you said the villagers are making some money out of this. How?
No. Yeah, they are not. Actually, sorry, I thought the bell is like, last sign that I need to wind up. So that's why I rushed through it. Maybe I missed the, the definition of bell. I'm sorry about this. So no, basically, they are not making money. They are creating a corpus to actually maintain these water structures. Because what happens is that when you build a check dam, however you stop, there is some soil erosion that's going to happen. And soil is going to come and sit in the body of the check dam, which is going to reduce the overall capacity of the check dam and percolation capacity also. So then the silt typically needs to be removed after every 6 to 7 years. You need to do desilting, which doesn't cost much. It typically, in our area, because it's a very rocky area, it will cost about 75,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees to remove the silt. And where do this money come from? Either originally what used to happen was the villagers would again approach, say, if Ra Foundation has done the check dam, they would come back to us. We can't keep on supporting the same villages over and over again, right? And if we say no, they will go to another organization which is in the area. So they will continuously move from one organization to another. We wanted to put a stop to that somewhere and make them more self-sustainable. For that, we trained them to about government schemes. See, this is all tribal area. So there are lots of PESA schemes which are applicable here. And so we trained our tribals in understanding of the government scheme in wash area, which is applicable to them, where they can, go and ask for funds or they can seek funds. Then we also told them that you can also, for every water that is removed from the check dam, you can charge an annual fees from every household. And that way the Malhar Samiti some of the Malhar Samitis have opened a bank account and they deposit money annually in the bank account, and they are raising. So this is actually building in a lot of sustainability into the system, and they don't have to go to anybody else for funding for the maintenance of the dams, because this is something which is so critical and so important.
So the water scarcity right now, solving the problem is helping them, but it's not quantified in terms of revenue benefit or any monetary benefit. Yeah, there's no.
that we have multiple parts to water security. One is water for revenue benefits, water for livelihoods we have quantified. So if you take a typical village of about 120 households, 120, 125 households, into 5 is the population usually, ballpark. And out of which, so we have multiple different types of communities. You have the Warlis, Kokanas, Katkaris, and every village will have about 15 to 20 Katkari families. Katkaris are landless tribals. So if you look at 80 people will have land, and annual earnings. So what we have done is so these are all small and marginal farmers, and we have created a farming model where they are allowed to only use about 20 gunthas, and in that annual income comes to about 75 to 80,000 rupees per annum, which is very good given the fact that they already have food security, because Kharif crop is grown for self-consumption. They don't sell that crop at all. So they already have food security. And this is the earning that they get by selling. Promoted agroforestry big time. So by selling, the food that comes from agroforestry, and typically about 70 to 70,000 is earning.
Have you looked, I was leading to that, have you looked at the payment for ecosystem services, the PES model? Is that something that you have delved into here?
No,
okay.
No, not yet actually, not yet.
Actually, Ashish, if I can add one metric to what Sarika mentioned is so far we are conserving 640 million liters of water annually.
Yeah.
And
So the reason I was mentioning that is because there's a very clear linkage between water, in some way monetization, and you're right, there might be different models of that, but globally payment for ecosystem services is, water is where it gets mostly deployed. That's the global model when you look at where all these case studies are of successful PES, especially since you're doing that exit. So I love the, whatever, it might be 2.5, some here plus minus, but with that exit strategy, you kind of naturally lend yourself to some kind of long-term sustainability for on the ground, essentially land managers or stewards of that land and that natural resource, which in this case would be the Malhar Samiti.
Malhar Samiti, right. I think, Saryu, this is a very good idea. Let's discuss tomorrow.
Yeah,
I can.
Thank you for the pointer, Ashish.
Yeah.
If I can add to that, I'm the consultant, so I come from an outside perspective. They're the people who work on the land, do the real work. So one of the things I understood from them is, these are really, really poor people who cannot pay anything. So on one hand, they are providing livelihoods. So the model could be as they grow bigger and they have something to give out migrating, so that they can do the work and get some money so they can pay. So that is their first step, like I said, because I'm sitting outside, I'm like, okay, this is something you should do. But when they're working there, there's nothing to give for them. The idea is to get them out of poverty and make them do some work so they can make some money. And that would be your next presentation that Saryu will be doing, where they are helping make the livelihood. So that money can be eventually tapped into those services that you were talking about. That's
No, Priya, it's the other way around. It is payments that is given to the people who are preserving the land. So it actually solves that dual problem. It solves the problem of ecosystem rejuvenation simultaneously with giving the people who are actually maintaining those ecosystems some. That's the reason I think the model
actually
works.
Ashish, we did have a discussion on this, not so much with respect to water, but with respect to our agroforestry and with respect to food
because
forestry.
You have all these models, I mean approaches.
No,
I think it
so the thing is,
take more time.
No, so the thing is, so this is also, first of all, Sarika made this statement that it is change without charity. Okay, so they have to contribute. Okay, because nothing comes for free. Okay, and the second is we are raising funds so that we are able to, create all these water structures. We are able to create livelihoods. We are able to keep them seeds and sapling. We are able to do drip irrigation. They are not really paying for any of it at all. Yeah. And in fact, they're putting in effort, when we build a check dam, there is Shramdan. Okay. So I think from a sustainability point of view, this is really working very well. I mean, Sarika has been here for the last 11 years. So, it's been very successful model so far. We've come across the payment, for service. In fact, some of there are NGOs in India who are doing that, especially the ones who are doing ecological restoration, but they're also like having second thoughts and, so they won't. So maybe it depends on, where you're implementing it, and, there are a lot of local factors that come into play as well.
I only wanted to add to Ashi's proposal and to your exit model that you can probably make a stewardship for them, that they can take the leadership in the corpus and then also come back to you. So they can be whatever they are going to lead. Probably that would make them stronger and also motivate leadership within them.
Yeah, I think absolutely. That's a good point, yeah.
We have 40 seconds to go.
A couple of those seconds. So I'm very proud of what Dr. Sarika has done. And I think the greatest credibility of what she's done, it comes from. Okay, and so I think that is a big crown that she's wearing, a very heavy crown, but I think that speaks accolades for what she's done.
So time's up. Thank you so much, Sarika and Sarayu. And moving ahead to the next project is also by Ra Foundation. And I'd request Sarayu to please start sharing your screen so that we can start.
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Your time starts now.
Thank you. So we are presenting Srishti in Sanskrit means, the universe. So, so this whole program is about, conserving and rejuvenating the universe, especially in the light of climate change. Oops. Okay. So to understand the target ecosystem, going back to where Zawar is, so this is the Maharashtra coastline, and we have the Western Ghats. And bang on the Western Ghats is the biodiversity hotspots, yeah? And biodiversity hotspots are those places species and are threatened by, human activity. So Zawar is bang there. And going back to, what was the situation, like even in 1974, the tree cover of Palghar was just, 21%. And by 3%. And actually, by ecological standards, we should have a 33% tree cover. Yeah, and by 2020, it had a further loss of 0.23%. So if you look at, where we are today, we have natural forests, which is around 12 kilohectares, plantations, which is 0.145, and non-forest, which is 521 kilohectares, a whopping amount. So there is a dire need to do something about this. Of how we can, conserve and, kind of restore this region. And we spoke to many people, the government department, the forest department. We went to several education institutes. We met with and visited several practitioners and consultants. And myself, I took a postgraduate program in ecological restoration. And finally, we came up with this solution, which is like, we have two models. One is, which is a disaggregated model called Krishi, and which is an aggregated model called Srishti. So in a disaggregated model, we work with the small and marginalized farmers, okay, which have a land holding capacity of maybe 1 acre or so that Sarika was referring to. And we teach them organic cropping. So when we talk about organic, the compact farming, so what we mean is, so, you know, the farmer may have about an acre of land. So part of it, we give him saplings for growing trees like mango and cashew and, you know, lemons and guavas. And part of it, he is doing mogra. Part of it, he's growing vegetables. So year round, you know, he's getting an assured kind of income. And then the aggregated model where we are growing regenerative food forests for a minimum of 10 acres. So I'm coming to Nisarg with my proposal for the aggregated model of Srishti. So at the heart of the solution is a regenerative food forest. So what is a regenerative food forest? So basically, in a given parcel of land, we have trees and plants at different canopy heights. So we'll have the tallest canopy, you know, which is trees like moringa, which have got tiny leaves, and moringa is very good in nitrogen fixing. It grows very fast. It starts fruiting in about 2 years. Then at the next canopy, next canopy, we will have shrubs like karvanda and lots of flowering plants to attract the pollinators. Then we will have herbs. Then we'll have, and there's special kind of grasses called vetiver, which is also called vada in Marathi. So the special thing about vetiver is it sends its roots deep into the soil around 12 feet, pulls out the nutrition and releases in the upper layers, which is good for all the, you know, trees growing in the area. So around every plant, we'll be planting vetiver grasses. Then we will have a root layer, which is turmeric and ginger and yams and groundnuts. And plus we will have a vine layer. So we'll have things like beetle, which are growing around the trees. So when we have these, so it's basically, we have a yield which is directly humans to. Apart from the food yielding trees, we will also have the forestry, which normally go in the forest. So the ecology improves. So we'll have trees like palash, like ain, you know, like pangar, which normally grow in the forest. So we will have a mixture of these trees, you know, intercropping. And this whole exercise is, we will be using only native indigenous species. And the high point about what we're doing is a biodiversity of 250. So normally when people are working with land, they have a biodiversity of maybe 10, 20, 30 on the outer side. But we are straight away aiming for this high biodiversity because that is what we believe will really improve, you know, the soil, the groundwater, the entire ecosystem. So these are kind of plants that we will have. And the gains will be, it's low on maintenance, it's highly sustainable. There will be immense groundwater conservation, soil conservation, rejuvenation. We'll be attracting pollinators with all the shrub that we are having. It will provide nutrition security because the farmer and the community can, you know, enjoy the fruits of the forest. There will be income security and carbon sequestration. So over 10 acres, we expect around 5,200 tons of carbon to be sequestered annually. In the you know, fight to climate change, resilience, because simply because we're going to have a high biodiversity of 250, there'll be some who will survive, there'll be some who will not survive. So at least the one that survive, okay, will provide all these gains to the ecosystem and to the community. So a journey started, I mean, I take off from where Sarika left. So, so that we started with Mallar, because without water, you can't do anything. And we started with the disaggregated model of Krishi, where we would give saplings and, you know, drip irrigation to farmers. And we scaled that up, and COVID kind of gave a, you know, kind of impetus to the program. And at the end of last year, we kind of at 2,000 acres of agroforestry land. And in last year, we started program Srishti, which is, you know, where we grow food forests, and we want to scale up by 2025. And on our 10th anniversary, we want to grow to 2,000 acres. Yeah. So how do we go about this? What's the process? So we first identify a barren unused land. So a barren unused land can be you know, belonging to a private farmer, or it can be the village common land, or it can be the forest land. Yeah. And then the first thing we do is create a source of water, because that without that, nothing. Build a fence around the entire plot that we are working on. and we allow the biomass to accumulate over one rainy season. A fire line so that, you know, if there's fire in the adjacent properties, they don't come to our property, I mean, to our land. And then we build what is called a live fence. So, so these are the timelines that we started. And the next steps for our pilot project is, you know, from April to June, we'll be planting another 1,000 saplings. So we have kind of created zones. So there'll be food forests, there'll be a small patch of teak, small patch of bamboo. There'll be spaces where only native, you know, there'll be space for wild edible fruits. Yeah. And then there will be patches of grasses, which will be just left back because there are some birds who nest only in grasses. So we're going to have some grasses, you know, which we're going to leave behind. And then we're going to have many biodiversity improvement strategies. So for instance, we'll be having bird perches, we'll be having rock piles. So we want to attract as many birds as possible, because when birds come in from their droppings, there will be seeds. And when those seeds germinate and grow into trees, those trees are extremely resilient. Yeah. So we want to have many birds coming in. Then we're going to be training the field team, and we will be monitoring and doing the maintenance for 3 to 4 years. So this is part of our budget, where we are continuously watering the plants. And then somewhere, once they start fruiting, we'll be forming farmer interest groups, Vanas Samitis, just like our Malar Samitis, farmer producer organizations, and then we have an exit. So the protocol for monitoring and evaluation is, we look at the survival rate, we look at the soil and biodiversity, we look at groundwater, what's the carbon sequestered, what is every plant yielding, what's the income, and the number of people deployed directly or indirectly. So I'm so happy and proud, like after 7 months of starting our program, and just at so many more species that we are working on. So we had spiders and butterflies and birds and cicadas, grasshoppers. So it was just an amazing sight. So scaling, so in 10 years, we expect to cover 2,000 acres of food forest. We would be planting around 555,000 trees, and we'll be sequestering 41,000 kilos of tons of carbon. So this is the proposal that we've given to Nisarg for 40 acres, where we'd be planting 6,000 trees, creating the open well, and planting the biodiversity of 250. And this is the kind of impact that is going to have on the biodiversity, on the ecosystem, and the community impact. And we've identified some risks, and these are the steps for mitigation. So there's a market risk, production risk, human risk, institutional risk, and diversity. So for each of these, what is the approach that we're taking so that the risks are mitigated, and what are the assumptions? These are the SDG goals that we have met. This is the budget. You probably have it in the proposal that we've already given you. So the thing is, give as much as possible. You're probably not the only donor. We are continuously raising funds. So to the extent possible, it's like a organization that goes to a bank, and there's a consortium of banks that comes to fund. So I guess this is something like that. I'm ready for Q&A.
Thank you, Sarayu. It was a wonderful presentation. We still have 4 minutes left, which we'll be adding to the Q&A round. I request our judges to please unmute themselves and start the Q&A round.
Can you go back to your range of activities and explain more? Because you did say, but they are just on highlights. Yeah, this one. No.
Yeah. Okay.
The following,
this one?
Following that. After that. Yeah. This.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is for monitoring and evaluation of roughly the metric is around 1,500 saplings. So what is how many plants are surviving? Are they doing well, not doing well? What is their growth like? Then we'll be measuring the soil and biodiversity. So at the start of the program, we do a baseline. So we know what is the soil condition like. We know what the biodiversity. measuring the same against the same parameters, So what the soil, your nitrogen and the phosphorus and the zinc and, all those parameters, what is the moisture that it has been able to retain. So, there is a scientific way in which we are implementing. Then we'll be measuring groundwater. So for this, we're actually making a small bore and we'll be taking an initial assessment of where we are on the water levels. And again, how is the water going up? How is it filling up the aquifers year on year? What is the carbon sequestered? So there are set models, you take GERT at breast height for carbon sequestration. Typically this starts after 5 years. Okay, we don't normally measure because the amount of sequestered before 5 years is very, very low. Once it reaches 5 years, that you start counting. What's the yield of each plant? So, so we planted moringa. So what's the yield? We planted cashew. What's the yield? Okay, we've done betel nut. We've done turmeric. What's the yield? And then on that, what is the income increase that the farmer is getting? Yeah. And then what are the people deployed directly or indirectly? Like for instance, at the time of plantation, at the time of making the fence, or even before that, at the time of making the well, okay, we had people we had deployed, we had deployed labor. During making the fence, we had deployed labor. During plantation, we'll have labor. Okay, at every stage. So even when there is yield, we will have labor for plucking, for packaging, for transportation. So what is the real impact we are making? So we want to understand scientifically what that impact is. As we move.
Who are your collaborators within this?
Yeah, we will. So we are tying up with 2-3 organizations. So one is Oikos for Ecological Services. So they are the ones who actually are guiding us in this entire process. So this, this entire, because we're just starting this for the first time. And, that is the reason why, we met with all of these people to understand. Okay. So Oikos for Ecological Services are our consultants, and they have they've given us a detailed model on what to measure. Then we're tying up with Gokhale Education Society, which is a local college at Zawar. So we've met with the head of Department of Botany. So they're going to help us with the measurements of. Had a long discussion with them, and they're going to help us with all of that. So there's a lot of support at ground level. I forgot to mention an organization called SERE. So SERE is going to help us with the carbon sequestration. And they are an accredited organization and, for carbon sequestration. And so they will be helping us with that. But again, 5 years from now, but we've already started a dialogue with them and, updating them, and we keep updating them on our activities periodically.
And how are they collaborating with you? Are they consultant? Are providing you for free? What are the models you are using? Or I mean, business to business model or what?
Yeah. So with the Gokhale Education Society, it's going to be, so we're going to have an MOU with them. And it is good for them as well, because it's a two-way partnership. So while we have these services of geotagging and monitoring done by the students and supervised by people who are PhDs in their field, who are the professors, in return, okay, so we will be giving them internships and they can come and do their dissertations, on our on the places that we are working on. So it is a completely two-way partnership. We are not even talking about any kind of monetary exchange. With SERE, it will be we'll have to pay for.
Then challenge for continuity.
No, see, as I said, we are continuously raising funds. Okay, even like as we speak, Priya Panikar and I are doing that all the time. Okay, so that is so that is the other hat that I wear apart from ecological restoration and heading climate change initiatives is fundraising. So we are continuously doing that, through CSRs, through overseas individuals. So, our corpus is just increasing. So, so I'm very confident this is not a problem at all.
Thank you.
I'd like to come in if Askar is going, sorry.
Yeah, hello. Yes, hi. Presentation. There is a challenge when you are getting into multiple funding institutions and trying to allocate activities for various budgets. How do you think that is going to be possible, or what is the plans that you already have in place to ensure there is no counting, double allocation?
Yeah. Great question. Great question. Yeah, so great question. So what happens is when we approach donors, program that we have, many donors want their money to be allocated for specific projects. Yeah, so some will say just water, some will say give it for Krishi, some will give for Srishti. So very specific, and such donors, in fact, report periodically to inform them about how we've used their funds. But there are some donors who say just let it go to the corpus and use it as you will. Okay, so so then based on the need we do the allocations. So of course water is probably like where everything goes first, because without water we can't do anything. So the well that I showed you that we prepared for this project actually came out of the Mallar budget, because anyway we had to our judgment on what is required at the ground level. And so for funds which are like omnibus, we allocate based on the need at the ground level. I don't think it came out very clearly is we have a team in Zawar. We have around 20-25 people there, and they're all trained them very well over the past 11 years. So we have a program manager, we have an agriculturist, and we have 4 supervisors under them, and the rest of them are field coordinators. So they're very, very knowledgeable about the ground level, what is going on, where is the need. They can speak the local language, and it's not just speaking Marathi, but in a manner that the Adivasis will understand. So and their feedback to us is extremely important on allocation of funds. Yeah, so
yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'll go, and I might take a few minutes now. So work. I have quite a lot of things to discuss on this, but maybe some has to be taken offline. The one question I had was the farmers. These are marginal farmers, and you have an aggregated. No, in Srishti you ever disaggregated? Yeah, you're putting it all together, 10 acres, right?
Yeah.
So Srishti is the aggregated model, right? Yeah. Yes. So it means you're bringing in multiple farmers. Are you?
No, I'll clarify. Okay.
And so are you giving those? This is farmers' land. So are they? Is there a lease model? Is there a payment model to them? And then I'll come to the next part here.
Okay. So the continuous land, we're contiguous, because we are investing in a well and stuff like that. It is a lot of money, and if I have smaller parcels, it's not a judicious utilization of those funds. Yeah. So this is contiguous land minimum. In fact, even as we speak, we are looking at 40 acres of village common land. Yeah. So okay. Aggregated model for Srishti is necessarily on continuous land. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is land owned by the farmers.
Okay, now when I come to land owned by the farmers, so as I mentioned, there are 3 kinds of land ownership. So one is private land, okay, where we actually ran a pilot project for, because there's less paperwork and there's less meetings, and we just wanted to get it off the ground. So there's private land, which can be an individual farmer along with his siblings, his uncles, aunts. I mean, if you look at the Satbara, what they call Satbara record, it probably has some 20-25 names. So fortunately, ours had only 3 names to begin with. So it can be private land, or it can be the village common. So that belongs to the village panchayat. Okay. So even as we speak, we have a proposal from a village called Munsare near Nasik, where the village panchayat wants us to, kind of grow food forests on their, common land. That's around 12.5 acres. Yeah. And yeah, so we have that model. And actually, we've also met with the Chief Commissioner of Forests, at Thane, and offering our services for forest land. So
okay. Yeah, so what I was saying, actually, I think I didn't get a chance to introduce myself earlier. So one of the hats I wear is Chirag and Rishi are aware of it. And one of the areas that we've been working on is, I think the direction that some of that is taking shape. And in fact, Rishi and I have discussed our model standpoint. Everything that you're talking about here to me lends itself very well to that. And within our ecosystem of advisory, there are a few other people who are working down both in the Western Ghats in Wayanad and also in Baramati, district, somewhat 2.5 hours east of Pune, where again they're doing this marginal landholders, some kind of agroforestry where the idea is biodiversity. There almost seems to be, Chirag, sorry, I'm not plugging on this place where, some of these best practices can be learned. And I think that's what Dr. Renuka was also trying to understand. Where do you go from there? So for example, one thing we have talked about in the, it's brilliant to see all those impact measures. But one of the other things we have talked about is how do we start looking at air quality? Because there's a lot of movement on air quality. I don't see air quality in your list, just as an example. Both water and agroforestry are very, very conducive as long as somewhere the alignment with the local farmers is okay. So this, like I said, the model that's in Baramati, it's a lease model to the farmers. So it incentivizes the farmers. One challenge you have with agroforestry and regenerative forest is once you exit, whichever time frame that is, what incentive is there for the farmer to not cut down those trees? Now, since these are trees in some form, and go back to that. So somewhere as a closing the loop is important. And that's why bringing in some sort of sustainable model is crucial. So the plug here is we are, and this is again all collaborative, there's no one entity looking at it, starting to kick off PES, trying to kick off PES in a big way in India, very ambitious plans. We're all small entities also, but then these examples need to be in place that, something like what you've got, where, that ecosystem of what is not the ecosystem on the ground, but ecosystem of PES players also needs to be built in. So some things might, from a best practice, global best practice standpoint, and incorporate those, and you have the team and the expertise, I think, to actually look at that. And that will involve not just the 3 to 5 year horizon, but when you're looking at forests, it has to be that 30-year horizon. Absolutely. I'll tell you, it's the same thing with carbon sequestration. We've actually done carbon sequestration today carbon credits are doing better than Bitcoin. So there's already existing models around that, which allow you to generate that return over a long time, which makes it frankly an investment model rather than a charity institution model. So there's a lot of stuff to actually break down here. And I think my recommendation would be to look at some of those aspects from long-term sustainability standpoint.
Wonderful, Ashish. Thank you so much. I think I'll connect with you next week and see, how we can work on that. Yeah. Thank you.
We have 20 more seconds to go. Assuming that our judges do not have any further questions, I'd like to conclude this presentation as well. Well done, Team Foundation. It was wonderful to see the presentation, and it was very impactful, I believe. So thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time and we are really very motivated to detailed manner, and we'll definitely get back to you in a week or so.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you.
With this, we come to the end of presentation about sustainability. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all our presentations for such wonderful performance. I'm sure our panelists are thinking how to evaluate and how to proceed with the selection. I'd also like to express my gratitude on behalf of Nisarg team to our judges for continuous support, time, and guidance, which has helped us make this event successful. So thank you to all the judges who are here today with us, who are not also able to join, but they've been evaluating the proposals. Kudos to all of you. I'd like to invite our founder, Mr. Chirag Kathani, to say a few words so that we can conclude the event.
Thank you everyone for this wonderful presentation. I'm like so excited and I'm very much motivated. Like our team will evaluate each of them in every detail that we can think of before we come back to you. And it shouldn't take too long, but we should be pretty soon back to you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.